In today's video, I will be discussing how I handle disappointment, failure, and worry in the times of this pandemic. If you want to skip this time lapse of me doing my makeup and bossing up a little bit ritualistically, head to the 2-minute mark. Oh, to pick oneself back up after disappointment or failure. We're in the age of a pandemic, and with that brings a lot of disappointment, a lot of fear, a lot of worry, and a lot of plans gone awry. And that train did not miss my stop, I'll tell you that. This month, I was supposed to be launching a new business with a partner, and today, I can faithfully say that that is not happening. I'm an entrepreneur, and I am not adverse to failure or to disappointment. I think that to be a true entrepreneur, one must have experience with failure and disappointment. With this, I have learned a great many things, and each time I go through something similar to this, I feel that A, I become stronger, and B, I learn greatly from the experience. Now, what happened was very much out of the control of myself and my partner in many ways. Though there is that itching visionary within me that wants to say that it would succeed at all costs. So I am at a place now where I look to my past, I look to my present, and I look to my future. In my past, I see my personal training career, and right now it's very much halted due to the current situation. So I am out of work, and for me that was not a bad situation just a couple weeks ago, because a couple weeks ago, during a very fateful meeting that I had with someone who is inspiring and successful, and it would have been a very great symbiotic relationship with myself as business partners, I sat across from him and we made plans to get a business off the ground. We negotiated some terms, we decided to make plans for the future, we decided on equity sharing ratios, and I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. I I think it's a dream of mine. I know it's a dream of mine. But yeah, so I went ahead and spent the next couple weeks after that. The weeks prior, I had also been working on this project just to validate its cause and its profitability and its impact on other people, because if I'm going to make a product, you're damn straight it's probably going to be one that helps people. So I worked and I worked and I worked, and I was fine not being paid for it right away because I had expectations of a salary and equity, and I was fine with taking a lower salary as I was not the financial partner and I would be putting in a lot of time. Still gotta eat, still gotta pay the bills. Taking a lower salary and eventually, seeing the value of my equity rise. That was the plan. Now, there tend to be two types of people in situations like this.
Now I'm about to lose track of the second person I meant to mention in this statement, so here it is.
There are the visionaries who see opportunity and who see light at the end of the tunnel, and there are needs that need to be filled in a time like a pandemic. And I'm not saying that I agree with anyone who profited off of toilet paper or $18 hand sanitizer. Those people don't count. That is taking advantage of people, which is not the same as filling a need. That is seeing a need and taking advantage of that primal need from other people, taking that resource away and then putting a barrier on it. That is not the same as coming up with something that will help somebody. So for the people who are looking to price gouge, no, I'm sorry, you're not a revolutionary. You are taking advantage of people. Anyway, we were not in that boat. We were in a different boat. We wanted to help people. We wanted to bring them greater health through some resources that we were creating. And yeah, my worries of not being able to see my training clients went out the window. I was ecstatic. I feel like I was flying pretty close to the sun. And for anyone who is versed in business and successful in business, you might be laughing at that because it seems like maybe a small deal. But for me, I'm a small fish. I think that it was a big deal. It was a big deal for me. And with that, I proceeded. I proceeded with great happiness and zeal because not only was I helping people, but somehow I made it through the beginning of a very difficult time with a sunny horizon. Somehow, some way. Cut to a couple weeks later when we are ready to finalize a couple details, and my partner has a conversation with a lawyer who advises strongly against the idea. Now, this has a lot to do with restriction on how you can claim something in terms of marketing. We cannot provide cures. We cannot provide preventions. We are very much binded against using certain verbiage, and I appreciate that. From the get-go, I was very much aware that that was part of what we were going to have to manage. But maybe I did not have deep enough of a conversation, or maybe there's nothing I could have done. But I think between that and some of the draconian measures that were put in place by the government, the Canadian government, they wanted big vetoing power for, maybe it's not vetoing power, but the ability to use taxes for any resource by any means necessary. And this shook my partner to his core that morning, and coupled with the conversation he had, which advised strongly against proceeding because of the language barriers that we would have in marketing, the project came to a halt. So, I don't see it as a total loss. I see it as an opportunity for growth. I see it as an opportunity to just come that much closer and see the validity of myself and my vision. But nonetheless, what that left me with was a much darker horizon, to be quite honest. So I am now definitely in the no income group that this pandemic has left a lot of people in. I am self-employed. And yeah, that sunny horizon no longer exists. So what to do? What to do in a situation like this? 1, process the emotion. I took a couple days. I kicked some rocks and I cried. Because, I am in touch with my emotions and I am not ashamed of that. I know how to hold it together, but I also know that I don't need to suppress my emotion. So yeah, I took the time and I processed the grief of losing something that to me was a baby. It was my project. It was our project, really. It wasn't just mine, it was ours, but I felt it culminating and coming to a head and becoming more and more real. So I had to mourn that loss, and I did. After that, I think, just finding joy again and deciding to prioritize in my own life what is important. One of those things is living a life where I'm happy and I am able to appreciate what is in front of me generally. I don't want to put all of my emotional eggs in one basket. So though I am highly career focused and highly driven by this need to follow an entrepreneurial path, I cannot let that control who I am amongst my personal relationships. I have a lot to be thankful for. I have a great dog who just brightens my day every single day. I've got a great partner, got a great roommate, I've got friends, I've got family, I've got hobbies, I've got shit on the go still. Even though this has come to pass and I'm in a bit of a bind financially, I got shit going on. And so, though I had to do some emotional processing, this time it did not leave me in a hole of despair. I allowed myself to feel what I needed to feel. I allowed myself to take stock of the lessons there were to extract from this experience, because even though a lot of it was out of our control, I could have had some documents signed a little bit sooner. I could have gotten paid a little bit for the work that I had done, etc. But the past is in the past, and I hold no ill intent or feelings now because, it takes two to tango. I did not look out for myself in all the ways that I should have because I let the faith thing overtake, which to me is great. I think faith is an attribute that everyone should have. You never know what the next day is going to bring. You never know how good something can become. So to not have faith would have been, I don't think I even would have gotten as far as I did, I'll put it that way. But anyway, here I am. I'm trying to be as even keel as possible, and not in a way that is artificial, but by, again, looking at the things that I value. I value my music, I value my love, I value my ability to see humor in things. So I'm gonna just roll with that for now. I have a lot of experiences to share. I have a lot of knowledge to share, a lot of ways to take care of your being that I share with my clients that I don't see why not when I'm thinking in terms of sharing to a broader audience. So here we are. Tragedy is tragedy, and hell yeah, this is a tragic time, and it is not lost on me that this is a tragic time. I don't know about you guys, but I am always trying to make sure that I am doing the most to avoid infection. Can't really get more eloquent than that, but I'm trying to avoid infection. I'm trying to avoid doing anything that will put anyone else in danger, and I want to be able to lift myself and other people up. I was talking with my mom yesterday, and we were talking about the premise of putting your own mask on before you can put the mask on for other people. And, emotionally, personally, and in my soul, my mask is on. Where my mask is not on is financially right now, unfortunately. So that is something that I gotta work on, and I've got a lot of value that I can share that I need to channel. So today, for starters, I needed to give myself a bit of a bitchy look. I needed to pull myself up. I needed to see myself for who I am, and that is someone who is a boss, and someone who cares, and someone who does their research, someone who knows how to flex when necessary. And I'm gonna keep on doing that. I'm not gonna let, even though we are amongst tragedy, I cannot let that break my spirit. I cannot let loss and disappointment dictate the whole of my emotional well-being. So here I am doing something, a little step, a little something, a little nudge to get myself back in the game, because this is personal. This is within my control. This is something that I am passionate about and that I feel good about. So that's it. Hopefully we can all find those little things, those little passion points that we can use to feel good about ourselves, especially if you're in the same situation as me. If you don't know where your next paycheck is coming from because government ordered you cannot do what you regularly do, and pessimism is in the air, find what does work for you. I know we're all still, a lot of us, waiting on CERB checks and things like that, but if you do get yours, which I hope you do, I hope you have a fed belly and a fed heart and a fed soul. I hope you laughed today. I hope you did. That is where it's at. Take the things in your life that you have control over. You have control over your passion. You have control over the things that you love to do, of expressing love for the people in your life. You have control over those things, and those things will cultivate within you power and satisfaction and feelings of contentment and love, even amongst instability. So just as I am doing that for me, I hope we can all do that for ourselves, and that we can support each other in that notion, because there's nothing better than being surrounded by passion. And passion is not limited by ill circumstance. And you can see that because a lot of the most talented, great art, great shit that we see in the world came from people who went through strife. They went through it. They did not let it define them. So I'm not gonna let it define me. And you don't have to let it define you either. Stay strong.